Hi, I'm Sarah. This is a 3-part tutorial working towards King Pigeon, demonstrated by Letty. So you can do them just on their own, or you can do them back to back for a much deeper practice. This is the first part. I invite you to practice this one as many times as necessary until you feel comfortable, to then move on to maybe the second and then eventually the third. It'll be really useful if you have yourself a brick and some kind of strap to use. If you don't have a brick, you could just use a buck, that's fine. And if you don't have a belt, you can just use kind of like a tie or anything, just long, that's useful. This one's going to focus mostly on conditioning of your hamstrings, your glutes and your abs, which is really important for safe, deep back bending. We'll work through strengthening these parts, and then we'll do a little bit of opening of the body before we move into a more dynamic practice. So start yourself on your mat in a bridge position with the back imprinted onto the mat. Then your sacrum, so the triangular kind of bone at the base of your spine, presses both down into the mat but then also forwards towards your heels. So there's like this vacuum sensation of the navel cavity pulling towards the back of the spine. So you're almost trying to create this broad foundation of your back body pressing down into the earth. And then simultaneously press down into your feet. So in yoga we call this padabandha, an energetic lock of the soles of the feet pressing down. And then energetically squeeze the heels towards the shoulders, so there's already a slight activation of the hamstrings. You can use your brick between your legs. This is just going to help you activate your adductor, so the muscle that runs from your groin up to your inner knee. So this is a really important muscle that is really beneficial in our back bends but is often neglected. So the tendency is to sometimes just use the flexibility of our hamstrings and they become overloaded. Lots of yogis or dancers or practitioners at some point or other will experience tendinitis, this sensitivity of the hamstring at the origin. So we want to kind of eliminate that ever happening by using our inner thigh as well. If you don't have a block, that's fine. You can do it without, but just try to really actively squeeze your inner thighs. From here, with a soft mouth, bringing a space to the backs of your teeth and allowing the neck to feel long. Press firmly into your heels and begin to roll up from your lower back, almost like you are pulling the pubic bone up, then through the mid-back, allow it to follow, and then eventually all the way up. Take a breath at the top. Energetically squeeze the heels towards your shoulders, the chest towards the chin, and then from the upper back, then begin to roll down. Good. As you come down, press into the heels, extend the tailbone, and then roll back up, and continue like this 4 more rounds. Try to use the full circumference of your ribcage to breathe. So try not to hold your breath as you move up and down, but rather feel this expansion, almost as though you are growing broad from the central axis of your spine, and that the lungs are inflating and filling to their maximum capacity. So not only broad from rib to rib, but also up to armpit, down to hip, so that you use the full diameter, this kind of 3-dimensional space within. This just helps us pacify our nervous system. So the deeper you can breathe, the more you can pacify your nervous system. The more you pacify your nervous system, the more that we can relax into the muscles. Good, do 1 more, and then we'll meet at the top. And continue to squeeze the brick so the adductors are engaged. Coming all the way up, squeeze the heels towards your shoulders, and then really pull it through your pubic bone. You can remove the brick just using your hands, drop it to the side, press into your left foot, extend your right leg, right leg. And then lift up, and then the same as before, just continue to roll up and down through your spine. So here it will be a little more difficult to keep your hips square. You'll probably start to lean into the left side more and drop the right hip. So use to the best of your capacity still your adductors as if they were pulling towards one another, almost as if they were still squeezing that brick even though one is lifted. So this energetic pull towards the central axis of the spine. You want to firmly ground down through padabandha, the left foot, and continue to feel this lightness as you use the breath to lift all the way up. And as you come up, hold at the top, lift even higher, And then flex the top foot, kick the heel towards the ceiling, extend through the Achilles heel, lift the right hip to meet the left, kick down into the left heel, and then keeping the legs straight, kick your right heel forward so the knees are in line. And feel broadly like you're really kicking away. Keep the hips lifted, lift back up. Good, let's do 4 more like this. Extend, kick forwards, broaden through the foot, and then lift back up. Good, 3 more. And really use that breath, so every time you inhale, broaden through your ribs, extend from armpit to hip bone and from rib to rib. And as you exhale, feel like a vacuum pulling the navel to the back of the spine, almost like the muscle wall could hug the front of the body. Good, make this the last one. Kick forwards, breathe into the sides of the waist. And then inhale, lift back up, broaden through the ball of the foot, flex the toes. Good, now pulse up for 10, 9, 8, 7, keep the lifts hipped, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift as high as you can, last bit, lift to the ball, and then down to the heel of the left foot, and then continue. 4, 3, you should really start to feel your glutes engaged. 2, 1, drop onto the left heel, drop your right foot to meet the left, roll down through your back. Take a breath, soften at the bottom. Take an inhale, broaden into the back body. Then as you exhale, melt down into the space that you've created. And then press down into the heels, roll it through your spine, come back up to the top. We'll do the other side. This time press into your right foot, extend your left leg high. Good. Really energetically pull the leg up and then roll down through your back. And then continue like this. So you really want to press down through that standing leg. So the more you kick into the heel and energetically pull it to your shoulder, the more you should feel the hamstring engage. It's almost like this tautness in the back of your hamstring, so that as we create strength in the glute and the hamstring, the more that the pelvis is supported. So we don't have to overload the lower back when we begin to back bend. Instead, we can use this structure, this matrix of strength of the lower limbs that we may extend further. Good, make this the last one. Lift yourself up, flex the left foot, and then extend the leg forwards. Good, bring the knees in line, good, and then inhale back up. 4 more like this, keep lifting the hips. 4, keep kicking into the standing leg. 3, 2, good, last one. 1, kick it forwards. Take a big breath, lift all the way up, broaden the ball of the foot, pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come to the ball and then the heel of the right foot. And again, 4 and down. 3, down. 2, last one. Good. Drop the left foot, gently roll all the way down through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, almost as though you could independently separate every vertebrae of your spine and instead breathe into the fibers between. Good. Take a breath. Then just drop your knees over to the right, look over your left arm. Good. And then as you drop the legs over to the right, think about extending your left knee on top of the right firmly. So sometimes the knees come unaligned and we twist from the pelvis rather than your spine. And instead, I want you to energetically pull your left knee on top of your right, as if the kneecaps were staying in line and the inner thighs were hugging towards one another. Then gently come via the center, drop your legs over to the left, look over your right arm. It's more important to keep the shoulders down than the legs put down. So focus rather on bringing your shoulder heads down to the mat and then energetically pull the top leg, the right knee on top of the left, and then squeeze them both forwards. This is just to alleviate any tension that we created in the sacrum. Come back to the center. So we'll build a little bit of strength for our abdomen. So again, we really want to create this really strong support system for our back so that when we move into our back bends, we're not just relying on the flexibility of our backs, but rather we're using the flexibility of the front body, so the quads, the hip flexors, the chest, and then the strength of the glutes, the hamstring, and the abdomen so that we never feel any tension in our back bends. From here, you'll take the brick back between your legs and squeeze. And then lift your knees on top of your hips and the feet in line with the knees. Good. Raise your arms so the shoulders are on top of the shoulders are underneath the wrists. And then again, imprint your lower back. So lengthen your pubic bone forwards. And then feel that as you inhale, you can broaden from side to side so that you breathe wide rather than up. And then as you exhale, feel the interface of your muscle walls hug down to the back body. Now, without changing the angle of your knees, use the hip flexor and the abdomen, take the arms back and the legs forwards. Contract. Good, and then inhale. And then continue. We'll do 9 more like this. Good, 9. Really keep the belly contracted. And it's not important to bring the legs all the way down to the mat. If for you that means that you start to arch your back, then just take the legs down as far as you can without bringing that arch into your back. So it's much more important to have the lower back safe and imprinted, the abdomen engaged, and the feet, they can even just move 1 inch away from the midline, and it really is not important. It's much better to do this and to actually engage your abdomen than to let the legs come all the way down if it means kind of jeopardizing the safety of your lower back. 4 more. And over time, the more that you do this exercise, you'll be surprised how quickly the body responds and how quickly you will improve in strength and flexibility. So something that seems unattainable on the fast go, you know, a few goes down the line may seem like a totally different exercise. Good. Make this the last one. And then come back to the center. This time extend the legs up. So it's going to be a little more difficult now. If you feel any tension in your lower back, just rebend the knees. Otherwise, contract, squeeze, the same exercise, but with legs straight for 10. And again, don't worry about how far the legs come down to the mat. Rather focus on this integration of the full matrix of the muscle-body network. So that we want to feel this integration, that the core, the central line of the body, that all the extremities come away from this point and then draw back in. So we're building strength kind of inward to the out rather than starting out to in. Good, 4 more. 4. Good, 3. Keep the activation in the toes so every single part of the body is active. 2, and make this the last one. Good, come back to the center, and then you'll take the brick. Don't worry again, if you don't have a brick, you just have to use your mind kind of to activate your muscles more, and that's fine. From here, you lift your shoulders, you take hold of the brick, contract your belly, and then open wide. And then lift up, and then take it into the legs, and then open wide. Good. 9. Keep contracting the belly, extending the pubic bone. Good. 8. And again, if you feel any discomfort in your lower back, just bend the knees, no big deal. And if you don't have a brick that you're practicing with at home, you're doing it without, that's fine. All you do is the same action as if you were grabbing a brick and moving back and forth. The brick is just kind of this tangible thing that helps us engage the muscles a little bit firmer. It just means you just have to concentrate a little bit harder if you don't actually have that kind of actual object. That's fine. 4. Good. 3. 2. Good, almost there. Last one. I'm so glad I'm not doing this. Good. 1. Good. Squeeze. Come back to the center, and then let it go. Done. Free. Let the legs go, let the arms go, just take a breath. You can just kind of stretch yourself nice and wide as if it's kind of the first thing in the morning. And then bend your knees. We'll just stretch our hips. We'll come into a supported bridge. Again, if you don't have a brick at home that you're practicing with, that's absolutely fine. You just can hold yourself up in bridge. You know, you can bring your arms underneath you instead and interlace the fingers, or just hold yourself. Obviously with the brick, it just means you have to work a little less. That's sometimes quite nice. Just take a few breaths just to allow yourself to reground and let everything just kind of pull back into the central line of your body. Okay, just take a few more breaths. Then just press into your heels, lift your hips, and then roll all the way down. Good. Nice. Gently cross your shins, rock yourself up to a seated position. And then press firmly down through your sit bones. Feel almost a sense of resistance as you physically press down so that you feel this sense of lifting up out of the bowl that is your pelvis. And then as you inhale, feel that you can broaden through the rib cage. And then as you exhale, feel the back of the organ body and the interface of the muscle walls pulling back towards the spine. So there's almost like a vacuum sensation in the front of the abdomen, like a hollow sensation. And then feel this stacking of the vertebrae and then a growing sensation through the crown of the head so that the head is directly on the apex of the neck. Maybe it needs to lean back a little bit more than you think. Good, perfect. And then with a softness to your mouth, there's, particularly when we're seated, kind of this pattern of us clenching our jaw together. So just try to bring a space to the backs of the teeth. And then just drop your chin to the chest and start drawing these big circles with your neck. You really want to make the head feel as heavy as you can, almost as though it was made of lead, so that you use it to pivot from the axis of your neck, so that you can really stretch through the sides of the neck. So rather than using the muscles of your neck to rotate the head, allow the head to feel so heavy that it moves with momentum so that you stretch the neck. If you feel kind of any particularly tight, gristly bits, just move extra slow. So there'll always be one bit of your neck that feels a bit weird, a bit off, and just try and move extra slow through here. And then when you're ready, just change the direction, move the other way. And again, don't be alarmed if one side feels a lot more natural to move through than the other, that's fine. Good, and then when you're ready, just come back to a neutral position. Look forwards, allow the gaze to fall soft. Interlace the fingers, and then take a big breath, reach your palms up to the sky. And then lift up through the palms as if you are, again, trying to feel this extension from the top and the bottom. So as you resist down through the sit bones, feel as though you are being pulled up by the wrist to the sky. And then rather than sliding the shoulders down, slide them out and apart. And then as you exhale, turn the chin to the chest and take the palms firmly towards the space behind you. And then again, inhale, extend the arms high. And then release your right hand to the right side. You can bend into the elbow if you have the flexibility, but keep the left sit bone down. And then extend your left arm up and over the left ear. And just be mindful that the left shoulder doesn't come in front of the right, so that you stay nice and square through the shoulders. And then continue to press the hips down, so you try to eliminate this sense of compression through the right waist, that you still stretch through the right even though you're stretching the left more. And then drop your right ear to the right shoulder. Take your left arm back and then flex the left wrist. Really press the wrist away. And the more that you can slide the left shoulder back and away, the more you should get into the left side of your neck. Take one more big breath. Contract your belly, come to the center. As you inhale, interlace the fingers, draw them up to the sky. Exhale, release left hand to the left side, right arm over right ear. And again, you can micro bend into your left elbow, pull the flesh of your hips down, keep the shoulders in line, and then again, draw the front of the muscle wall to the back of the spine. So it's like you're almost like sandwiching yourself closely to the back body. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder, and then extend your right arm away and flex the wrist. And the more that you can flex the wrist away from the apex of the forearm, the deeper the stretch will be. I'm going to take one more big breath. And then come back to the center. Bring the thumbs at the heart center. And as you inhale, extend your arms high. Then as you exhale, squeeze your elbows firmly in towards your intercostals, in towards the side waist. Squeeze them nice and deeply so you feel your shoulder heads roll down. And then as you exhale, round. Elbows and index fingers touch all the way. Find this puffiness in the back body. Inhale, lift up. Take the arms up to the sky. And as you exhale, bend the elbows in and down. Really find this resistance. Slide the scapula down, tailbone heavy. Exhale, round through the back body. Feel the posterior chain extend towards the top body. 3 more like this. Inhale, extend. Good. Exhale, squeeze in and down. And then round all the way. Index finger and elbow crease touch. 2 more. Inhale. And you really need to move as if you were like moving through honey or something heavy in the air in order to really feel the benefit of the activation of the posterior chain. So if you're just sliding through the muscles and not really moving anything, you're just kind of dumping yourself into the flexibility of the shoulder girdle. You really want to feel this resistance. So we build strength and flexibility simultaneously. Make this the last one. Good. And then slowly bring yourself forwards into a tabletop position. Bring your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, and then move through cat-cow. As you inhale, arch your back, anterior tilt. Then as you exhale, roll the flesh of your biceps back round through your back body and really pull the tailbone down and hollow the belly. Good. Inhale, look forwards. Roll the flesh of the biceps forwards. Arch the back. Then as you exhale, posterior tilt, bring the tip of your brain towards the belly. Good. 3 more like this. Inhale, broaden and extend. Arch through the back body. Press down into the hands and the shins. Exhale, round. And just exaggerate that action. So you're trying to find this maximum rotation in your spine. Good. Make this the last one. And then when you're ready, come back to a neutral position. Keep the sit bones directly on top of the knees. Don't let them come with you. Reach your arms forwards, come into puppy pose. So you're trying to extend the chest and the chin or the forehead down to the mat. Arch the belly. And then find the trajectory of the sit bones as they continue to draw up and back. Take a few breaths here. So Letty is really flexible in her back, so don't be concerned if yours doesn't look anything like this, that's fine. I'm pretty sure mine wouldn't look like this either. But just whatever feels good. Be fairly intuitive when you come into these postures. They don't have to look exactly like Letty's look like or however you've seen anyone else do them. If something feels like a good stretch and it feels beneficial, then this is the perfect space to be. Just always acknowledging kind of that difference between discomfort and effort and pain. So you never want to move into a space that feels in any way painful. You want to find your edge and then just step a little bit back from it so it feels manageable. So you're never forcing yourself. If you can't breathe comfortably, then maybe ask yourself whether you've gone a little bit too far and whether it would be better to step back. And then from here, bend into your elbows, press into your forearms, slide forwards into Sphinx. Pull your pubic bone forwards. Bring your shoulders directly on top of your elbows, and then feel almost as if you were energetically broadening your fingers and your hands. So this is Hasta Bandha, the same as earlier with our energetic lock of our feet, but here on our hands. And then feel that you're energetically pulling the heels of your hands and your elbows back in space. And it's simultaneously that you're pressing the space between your shoulder blades forwards, so you're creating this traction. Soften through your mouth, and then firmly take your hands a little bit wider than your mat. Press into your fingertips. Inhale, lift your chest into cobra, keeping the belly down but the chest up. Like a snake, start from lower back and start with the go to the top, and then extend through the crown of the head. And then bending your elbows, slide yourself forwards and down. Good. So like a snake, lead with the head, not with the chin. Inhale, reach up all the way. Breathe into the back body. Feel that you're trying to bring your chest perpendicular with the mat and simultaneously pressing forwards. Then as you exhale, you slide not only down to the mat, but pull yourself forwards to find space in the lower back. Make this the last one. Inhale, lift all the way up. Contract the muscles of the belly. And then press into the hands. Just bend into the right side more, bringing the front of your right shoulder and your right ear down to the mat. Coming into a little twist. Take a breath. Lift yourself up through the center. And then drop down into the left side. Left shoulder, left ear down to the mat. And then again, come up. This time come onto the right, hold for a breath, and then lift your left leg, bend the knee, and try to bring the left foot behind your right leg. So it's just to stabilize. You don't have to move too deep. And you should just feel a little bit of a stretch, or maybe a big stretch, depending on the flexibility of your right shoulder in the front of the shoulder. Good, come through the center. Release all the way, press into your hands, inhale, lift back up into cobra. This time drop down onto your left shoulder, left ear, and then lift the right leg, bring it over to the left side just to stabilize, and then stretch into the side. So you can see on this side, the shoulder is down on the mat and the elbow lifts directly up. So you should feel a stretch just here on the front of the shoulder. Come back by the center. This time take your right arm all the way out to the right side, shuffle your hips to the left, and then bring the left leg the same all the way over to stabilize. Bend the knee, press into the foot, and then stretch into the front of that right shoulder. So for some people, this is going to be a really big stretch. You're like, this is enough. And if your head is really far from the mat, then you may even want to bring a brick or a pillow underneath your right ear so your head's not hanging out in space. For some people that feel more flexible, sometimes this doesn't feel like enough. It looks like maybe this is not enough for Letty here. So Letty would instead bring her hand to her left hip and then explore that. And then ask whether this feels like enough. If it is, then you stay. And if it's not, then maybe the left arm comes back and you interlace the fingers. Take a breath, and then if this feels like enough, then you stay here. Try to see these not as steps, as in like I need to kind of challenge myself to get every single step and force myself, but instead in a really compassionate way, is this genuinely enough? What feels good? Not what do I want to feel good, what does feel good? Eventually the final step would be to also bend the right leg, bring the right foot to the mat, and bring both knees up. So this would be the deepest variation of this stretch. And essentially, whether you're a beginner or advanced, you should feel the same stretch. You just need to do different things to get to it. So everyone should be working at the same effort, like 75 to 80%. No one should be either completely hanging out, not feeling anything, and no one should be working at 110%. So some of us just need to go to a different range in order to find that same stretch. And that's fine, wherever that is. Bring yourself out slowly, the same way that you came in. And then come back onto your belly, kind of reassess the situation, and then take your left arm out. Shuffle your hips to the right side. And then this time bring your right leg over. Stabilize. That foot's just there to hold you so you're not just hanging out in the girdle of your left shoulder. Again, if you need a pillow under the left ear, then that's fine. You can do that. And then just decide whether that feels like enough. Otherwise, you can take your right hand to your right hip. That doesn't feel like enough. Maybe you take the hand back and reach for your bottom hand. Sometimes it's hard to know where your hand is in space when you can't see it. And if you feel pretty close to grabbing that hand and you really feel like you need that in order to feel the stretch, but you can't quite find it, then you can use a strap, because obviously then it just creates this larger area that you can hold on to. And then eventually you've always got that option of bending the second knee and bringing the knees up. And again, this is going to be the deepest variation. Just because you can do it on the other side and it feels really good doesn't mean it will feel great on this side. The sides are asymmetric. I like to sometimes think of them as like twins that don't like to wear matching outfits. You can come back out, come via the center. Take a moment to kind of recalibrate, and then press into your hands and we'll meet in downward facing dog. And if you're just practicing part one of this 3-part tutorial today, then maybe that's enough. Maybe you want to stop there. Or if you want to continue and move on to the second video, then we'll meet in down dog.